sky. We're right in the middle of we're in June now, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're on this beautiful is there a name for this? The turnpike. I don't know if there's a name for this bridge. I don't think there is. I'm sure the turnpike bridge or something they call it. You know, I'm delighted now because I've been sort of aware of your music for I'd only say about 2 years. Next to the attic, last year I entered the back of the bands. I knew from your parents that you're into music, but this is a kind of a big step now. After 5 years of collaborating and being in various different lineups and writing music and producing, to make your own solo EP, was it just inevitable, or was it a big kind of decision?
Well, like for the first few years, like when I was writing, it was kind of like just for fun, just messing around. And then like a couple of years back, I sort of decided I want to do this professionally. This is what I want to do, career. And I felt like if I wanted to go to college for it, so I needed a portfolio piece. I needed to see what I could do myself as well. And it was just, it was kind of inevitable in that sense, yeah.
I know that for a lot of artists, their moment comes really either through major heartbreak or through the fact that they're having struggles with drugs and they kind of hit rock bottom and they create some sort of crazed Alice in Wonderland world of their own, and suddenly they make Transformer or Heroes or Blood in the Tracks. And I don't know if you're prepared for that, because that's kind of what comes with this territory, that there will be some traumatic experience that sparks your greatest work.
There's gotta be. I'm prepared for that right now. Yeah.
But I know you said with influence-wise, the great Canadian Mac DeMarco, who is sort of like Daniel Johnson without the crazy, and then there's also New York's Bleachers, which is he kind of he looks a little bit like yourself. He also looks like Evan Bruton from Feuds. There's a certain so I don't know if there was this was all kind of from your parents, whether it was your own kind of exploration.
Well, like I found those two guys I found myself, and I connect a lot with especially Jack Antonoff and Bleachers. His philosophy and his sort of ethic towards work, and then Mac DeMarco's style and his sound, like it's all a big influence to me. My parents did try and and they succeeded in a few things.
Well, I know your mom loves Daniel O'Donnell and your father loves Nathan Carter. He's into the younger country stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't be too happy about that.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
But you would have grown up in a musical family, because there's your grandfather Al, a major player in the folk scene, and then obviously your uncles, and I don't know whether that was the case that you grew up in a musical family, whether it was just like a something you in the family particularly liked, or
I think it is like it must have had an influence on me, but at the time I didn't really think about it. Like I just really got into music on my own, and then I'd say like subconsciously, like having that sort of experience in a family obviously must help in some way. And
there's this great kind of period for young musicians where you can kind of be everything. You can record at home, you can make your own videos, you can jump back even 10 years, it was generally you had to sort of get help, you had to get other people. I think it's an incredible time, because it means that you, from the spark you feel to something you might put out, is pretty short now. You don't have to go through a lot of other people, and that's got to be inspiring, that you can create it by yourself in your own room and it's exactly what you wanted.
Yeah, it's a big thing, like way less doors to go through.
Right.
It's like before you'd have to go to like a publicist or a manager, and then through a record label and a distributor, and everyone has a say at what your art is. And now it's like literally make it and it's out there. Just post it online. That's it.
You can be David Bowie in a second. You can be Bob Dylan. You can be exactly what you want to be in that moment. And the great thing is that it's much more reflective of who you were in that moment, because it wasn't filtered through other people's kind of influences and compromises. And in a year it could be different. You could be a different person. You could have different music, different things going on. But I think that's a much more, I would say, true picture of the musician and what he's at. And so I should mention now, with Human Virtues, you've said yourself, these are very kind of personal songs. You're dealing with so and because it was, as you said in the quote, I think is that it was recorded in a very small place, which I presume is both metaphysical and physical. And
It came from like a place of, when I'm alone, and I'm alone for a while, I get into like a really intense thought process, and like I go through everything in my head, and that's sort of reflected on the music. I would make something and I would obsess over it for maybe like 2 days straight without sleep, and then that would be it. I would be done for the week, and then I have to go again because I've just expended and exhausted all my brain power on that one thing. And that happens a lot when I'm alone. It's just like this need to make.
And of course, I know myself, even with the guide, there's a sort of a tunnel vision that comes with that. That's both exhilarating and frightening, because you're not sure anymore after a while what you're listening to or what you're seeing is really, because you're it's like a 4 o'clock in the morning feeling. Is this a great idea or is this a really bad idea?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like when you make with other people, it's easy because it's like there's a vibe in
Sure, you can read
the
the room
space, and you can
quickly
read the room and everyone's having fun or whatever. But when you're on your own, it's more like it's not an obsessive thing, but like you have to be aware that like this is one person's vision and it might be crap, it might not work, but like you look at it, and I think for me anyway, it reflects what I wanted it to be. I like wanted it to be that, and I felt like I achieved what I set out to do when I went to write each song.
And the evolution that happens in all of us, that if you jump back 3 or 4 years or 5 years to music you've written then, it always feels to me, I just think there's a natural sort of distancing that happens, that you kind of can look at it from a distance and feel almost like it's somebody else, or that it's not. It's because that progress happens hopefully in art, that you're moving forward all the time. It's like a postcard from the past.
I think like in a few years I will look in this and it'll be a time and a place, and like I'll be able to reflect on, like, I think it's actually a really good, like, it's like a diary really, like I just look on it and that's how I felt in that time, like that's like the things I was going under, the pressure I was going under, and like that sort of stuff. And you can like evaluate it from a spectator's view.
I should say too that I was delighted when I heard that you're releasing this on CD. I'm that old school kind of thing of, I like the art itself to be something in your hand. It's something, especially to me, it's a CD or an album, a vinyl album is like a book. It should be kind of part of the experience, that you, not only is the music crucial, but that how the artist sort of presented it and how they wanted it to be packaged and seen, and that's something I guess I don't think it's that common really for your generation.
Yeah, well, like the way most of like the artists I listen to anyway release music now, it's more like completely digital. So like they make it and then it's out there.
Right.
These very prolific artists making hundreds and hundreds of songs and putting them all out.
I think Mac DeMarco does an album every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Like you just sit down and like you just bash it out. But like I recently got into vinyl, and it became like this thing where like it was a physical thing in my hand, and anytime I got a vinyl on someone, I would just obsess over them for like a whole month. And I felt like there's a connection between me and the artist, because like I contributed to them in some way, like I have a piece of them, because it does take a lot of effort. And I also it's just the necessity. I wanted it to be accessible to everybody, so people who really like the music and want to like obsess over it and like have a connection with it, or the people who just want to have it in a playlist on Spotify or whatever. I just wanted everyone to have it.
I suppose if we jump back to Elvis and Beatles and all that, almost having a CD now or a vinyl is having a lock of hair from your favorite artists. It just feels like it is actually part of them in some way, because they had a lot, hopefully quite a bit of thought about how it would look and how it would be sent out there. And the idea that you were one of the those who decided, I want to be that deep into it, I want to be that part of it.
Well, like since it's such a personal project, like it was all me really. Like there was help outside, but like I really like I wanted people to know like I obsessed over every single aspect of this project. And I think it comes through in the fact that like I'm really proud of it now. It took a lot of work, and I hope people sort of appreciate it for that.
Well, we should just remind people, it'll be up on above this video anyway, but it's Sunday, August 29th that you're going to be in the Whale for the launch in the afternoon, and the CD will be there too for €5. So that's kind of as I said, I just think it's a way to connect to the art beyond just hearing it, because the download kind of generation, the Spotify generation, to me, as much as it's wonderful that access to music is so easy, it also kind of dilutes the impact of the art, where it just becomes part of a vague playlist and almost anonymous, where people don't necessarily know who they're listening to or don't really care, and to them, which is fine in its own way, but it just becomes some background music as opposed to this artist kind of knocks me out how they. I know it's all different and has its values.
I think there is an air of like personability and like personality that you can get through digital. I think it's like I personally think it's a lot more impactful when it's like a physical thing in your hand and it's like a product that someone made. And it'll be on sale on the Whale. It's gonna be great. I'm really happy about that.
We'll also make it I'm sure hopefully available beyond that. I don't know if you've got sort of plans that it'll be an online thing, people can purchase the CD.
It'll be we'll have an online store on humanvirtuesmusic.com. And you'll be able to buy it there, the digital and physical, and it'll be on Spotify and iTunes and everything like that. New song coming out in 2 weeks as well.
Wow, okay.
Which is going to be as cheap as I can get it, so anyone can listen to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you just to wrap up then, would you have sort of hopes or ideas of within a year or two going for the full album thing? I don't know whether there's certain goals you have in mind already.
Yeah, well, I would love to do a full album. The reason I was actually like, a lot of people will ask me like to do it now, just to get it out, but I feel like you can only do your first album once.
Okay.
And I would love to make sure that I'm perfectly capable to express everything I want to say, everything I want to say on one project. So I have to look at school as well. So if I get that out of the way, there's going to be more coming anyway.
Rock and roll.